This is BBC One.
The 6 o'clock news from the BBC with Andrew Harvey and Jill Dando.
Good evening. The headlines at 6 o'clock. John McCarthy, the British journalist held hostage in Beiruit, is free. He was released by Islamic Jihad and taken to Syria's capital, Damascus, after 5 years in captivity.
Well, hello. It's very nice to be here after 5 years.
Later, he was reunited with his father and brother and is now flying home. Here, after 1,943 days, his friends say time can start again now. And McCarthy brings news that he's seen Terry Waite and 2 American hostages, alive and well in the last 2 days. John McCarthy emerged to freedom this morning looking more fit and relaxed than anyone had dared hope. Apart from the relief for his family and friends, John McCarthy brought good news for the relatives of other hostages. He said he'd seen the Church of England envoy Terry Waite within the last 2 days. He's in good health, though at one stage he had been very sick with asthma. And Islamic Jihad told him that all the Western hostages were safe. The United Nations Secretary-General Javier Pérez de Cuellar has said another hostage, possibly an American, may be released soon. The first sight of John McCarthy came this morning with this black and white photograph released with a statement from his captors. It said McCarthy was to be an envoy to the United Nations, bringing a letter asking for UN help in organising an exchange of hostages, those held in Israel to be swapped for those in Lebanon. Well, John McCarthy was handed over to a UN official in Lebanon and then taken to Damascus. Later, he left for home, and he's expected at RAF Lynham in Wiltshire just after 10 o'clock tonight. From Damascus, our Middle East correspondent Michael Macmillan now reports.
This was the first glimpse of John McCarthy for 5 years. And he was smiling, full-faced and apparently relaxed. Remarkable, bearing in mind that he'd been held for at least some of that time in appalling conditions, often in darkness and sometimes probably chained to a wall. It was an experience for this young man. He was 29 when he was kidnapped that most of us would find unimaginable. Other hostages had talked of his resilience, his sense of humor, his obsession with physical fitness. Most important today, he was able to confirm that other captives are alive and well.
Well, hello. It's very nice to be here after 5 years. I would like just now to make a brief statement rather than answering any of your questions, if you'll forgive me. I'm very happy to be here and free in Damascus after 5 years in captivity. And I would like to thank my hosts here at the Syrian Foreign Ministry for their warm welcome, and thanks to the Syrian Army for their help in escorting me here from Beirut this morning. I'm happy to be able to tell the families of the American hostages, Terry Anderson and Tom Sutherland, and of my fellow Briton Terry Waite, that when I left them 2 days ago, they were in good health and in good spirits, and that our living conditions recently are tolerable and I think we could call them good. The ambassador kindly mentioned my strength of character. I will refer back to the 2 Americans and to Terry Waite, and would say that whatever strength I've had to endure the past 5 years has really come from those men. And before them from Brian Keane and Frank Reed, who I was also held with. I spoke yesterday at great length with my captors. I was held by the group called Islamic Jihad. And they have given me a letter which they wish me to deliver personally to the United Nations Secretary General Pérez de Cuellar. I understand that the letter seeks the Secretary General's help in arranging a release of all prisoners and hostages being held in Lebanon.
This is Sky News, a part of the British Sky Broadcasting Network.
It's been a very, very long time. 5 years and 3 months. There are times when it seemed it would never end.
But now the ordeal is over. John McCarthy and family are on their way home.
He confirms Terry Waite is well, but he's suffered from asthma.
And the UN hopes Terry Anderson may be freed this evening. Hello, good evening. It's 6 o'clock. You're watching Sky News. I'm Christopher Morris.
And I'm Bob Friend. And of course, our main story this evening, John McCarthy will step back on British soil later this evening, free at last after 5¼ years, a hostage in Lebanon.
"18 minutes past 10, August the 8th, will be etched in John McCarthy's memory forever. Welcome home, John McCarthy.
Freedom is finally here for a Britain held hostage in Lebanon. And there is continuing hope that freedom may be near for one of 6 Americans held captive. This is the CBS Evening News. Dan Rather reporting. Good evening. The first Western hostage to be released from Lebanon in nearly a year is home. British journalist John McCarthy arrived tonight some 13 hours after word came that his terrorist kidnappers had set him free in Beiruit. But the hoped-for release of other hostages, including at least one American, has not yet happened.